Oh, hang on a sec. We're going to get you a mic. We're fancy here.
Thanks. I've always wanted to ask you, the scene in which Rick Ducommun is talking to Tom Hanks' son in shot, and they're both eating, is that, and they're talking about grave digging at the same time, is that in reference to Hitchcock and his obsession with food and murder?
I wish I could say yes. No, it's just Rick liked to eat.
Were you yourself a Hitchcock fan? Because it seems like you say this.
Am I a Hitchcock fan? Who's not a Hitchcock fan? Of course.
But I mean, you said
the temp score for this picture was completely made out of tracks from Psycho. And so when I showed it to Jerry Goldsmith, he said, "Well, you don't want me to imitate this, do you? Because Psycho score is all strings. There's no other instruments." And I said, "No, you don't have to imitate it, but I like the feeling of it. I like I just like to catch that kind of thing, because I think with comedies particularly, if you score them straight, they're funnier than if you score them with Mickey Mousey."
Right. Well, you said that you had thought people references to Rear Window, and I always thought it was more like Shadow of a Doubt, like Murder.
Well, no, I didn't reference that. That was the producers just thought it was a Rear Window parody. Except for looking out the window, there's nothing Rear Window in it.
Sort of a question to follow up on that. I noticed this time, for the first time, in the scene where Rick Ducommun, the guy who plays Art, the neighbor we were talking about, he actually has a live bee in his mouth. Does he?
Yeah. No, it's a live bee, but it's a de-stung bee. Because this is Hollywood, they can actually do that. They can defang snakes and de-sting bees.
So was that and the sardine scenes, were those one-take wonders?
No, we did a couple of takes on the bee scene. No, and we did a couple of takes on the sardine scene. And Tom was very gung-ho. He's like, "Okay, I'll do it again." Okay.
I was joking that this film does irreparable damage to the sardine industry. Right there, Lisa.
Love the 80s fashion, love the 80s hairdo. Corey Feldman's Michael Jackson jacket. Is there a reason he was wearing that? Was that his jacket?
Corey at the time was very tight with Michael Jackson. And Michael didn't come to the set, but Bubbles did. Now, those of you who are not Michael Jackson fanatics may not be aware that Bubbles was Michael Jackson's chimp. And Corey would bring Bubbles in and put him in his motorhome. And then he would go back in after doing a scene and discover that Bubbles had shat all over the motorhome. There's hardly a square inch of that set that Bubbles didn't shit on, and we had to do the unthinkable. We had to ban Bubbles from the set.
You just blew my mind. I lost my train of thought. I think I'm done for the day. This is amazing. Who else has a question? Right there.
Just wondering, is it coming to Blu-ray anytime soon?
Listen, you're lucky it's on DVD. It's eventually, I'm sure it will. It's not exactly one of Universal's crown jewels, but everything sooner or later is going to come to Blu-ray, and I'm sure it will. I've only got a couple of pictures that haven't made Blu-ray yet. Inner Space and a couple of other ones, but they'll all be on Blu-ray. Just around the time Blu-ray is obsolete.
We got one right down here.
First of all, I love your films. I love Trailers from Hell.
Thank you.
And I just want to ask, okay, Bruce Dern is an old favorite of mine. I always liked him in movies. Why did you pick him for this film?
Well, I was always a big fan of Bruce Dern. He had a distinctively naturalistic way of acting that nobody else had. And I watched him from his early days when he would be on Gunsmoke and he'd get killed in the first 10 minutes. He did a lot of those kind of westerns and stuff. And then he did the Roger Corman pictures, The Wild Angels and The Trip. And then as his career went on and he got, better known, he started graduating into these Academy Award nominated kind of movies. But he was always a favorite of mine. And he was just so much fun. He was everything I thought he would be. And more. For one thing, he's a complete trivia buff. He knows everything about Hollywood. He knows what Daryl Zanuck had for breakfast. He's a crew guy. He's a guy who relates to the crew. So he would do football pools, and everybody loved him. And I've used him several times since. But what may be his crowning achievement is something I saw 2 nights ago, which is Alexander Payne's Nebraska, in which he plays this sort of drunkard old codger who thinks that he's won a lot of money in a sweepstakes and is insisting on getting Will Forte, his son, to take him from Billings, Montana to Lincoln, Nebraska to pick up the money that he thinks he's getting. And it's a beautiful, widescreen, black and white Americana movie, and he's terrific in it. And I think he won the best actor at the Cannes Film Festival for it, and I bet a nomination of some sort is imminent.